Ben, good morning.
Good morning, Damon. It's so nice to see you so early in the morning.
It's great to see you as well. You look great. It looks like you got some good rest. How's the football season been?
It's been extraordinary. My home city is well represented on both sides of the lines, I believe. There is something about Philadelphia. You know, I've lived in many cities. I'm from Boston, a great sports city. I lived for 14 years in London, not a great sports city, in Paris for 9 years. But Philadelphia infuses one with, dare I say, greatness. And we see that well represented next week.
Yes, no doubt about it. Well, how long have you been a sports fan? Ever since, you moved to Philadelphia, or when you were born? How long have you been a sports fan?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. No. I picked up a book when I was very young called The Art of Swimming, and I became a great advocate for swimming as a sport. And in fact, I don't know if you're aware of this, but I am in the Swimming Hall of Fame
I did not
for
know
having
that.
invented. Yes, when I was very young, I invented a device that one can strap onto their feet and allow them to swim faster. So it's called a flipper or fin. Did you not? Yes.
I did not know that.
And in London, in my early 20s, I really considered becoming a swim instructor. I take swimming very seriously and spend a lot of time swimming in the Seine, in Paris, here at the Schuylkill, and even in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean on crossings, which people considered very dangerous. Then in the 1750s, when I went out west to aid then Colonel George Washington, I became aware of one of the very first organized sporting events. Back in my day, people didn't really think of team sports. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Most teams, well, of course, you knew it, Damon. You know all sorts of things about athletics and sports, but most team sports come much later. But in the western parts of Pennsylvania and the Ohio Valley, the Iroquois Confederation has a sport called lacrosse. Well, the French call it lacrosse. It's really, really violent. They play on these enormous fields. Many people can die during the course of the match. It's very exciting. And I do apologize for that. Ooh, I'm so sorry about that.
Is that your clock?
That's my, I apologize. That's my clock. I think it's a little off the time. I know we started. I know you were punctual. But I'm very good. David Rittenhouse designed, I don't know if you can see it. David Rittenhouse made this clock for me, and I promised I would show it. He would go on to become the first director of the United States Mint. So he's in charge of the money. You have to be kind to David Rittenhouse. But yeah, so lacrosse was one of the very first organized sports. And then in the 1750s, when I was, after I had published my essay on electricity, I was invited to Scotland and to St. Andrews, and I got to play a very brand new game that they knock little balls into gopher holes. So I think they call it gopher or goaf. I believe they could pronounce it goaf.
Yes.
So yes, I've been a great fan of. You asked a very short question. I gave you a very long answer. But I've been a fan of sports my entire life.
Look, as an enormous American hero and as a major figure in the American Enlightenment, to me, you get as much time as necessary to explain your love of sports. Ben Franklin, big Eagles fan, joins us here on the show. What would you do to advise Eagles fans that boo or might get into fights with other fan bases or throw snowballs at Santa Claus? I know you're more of a pacifist. What would you advise them to do?
Oh, no. I think that's all wonderful. I'm a big fan of showing our great, we have to take this seriously. Now, as far as Santa Claus, I believe he is admitted to deserving it. I have been to many, many games, and nobody has ever thrown anything at me. I have found great love amongst the Philadelphia sports teams. And if you are going to besmirch them by suggesting they are too passionate, I would say that too passionate is how you get things done. You do not win and found a new country by being nice to your enemies. No, I think our enthusiasm, our passion, our climbing up street poles, many of which of course, first put up those early light poles, oil lamps, and now they climb them and destroy them. I think that's all in the name of goodwill, good passion.
I see.
Fight for what you need. That is a pacifist. I'm not a Quaker. I'm often called a Quaker, but I drink far too much whiskey to ever be considered a serious Quaker. I would not recommend pacifism as we approach this sporting event. This is going to take great strength and will.
Too much whiskey, like any good Eagles fan. Okay, so who's the more hated opponent? Is it the Cowboys or is it the Redcoats?
Well, that's a really good question. George Mifflin Dallas, I don't know if you're aware of this, George Mifflin Dallas, for whom the city of Dallas, Tejas, is named, was the former mayor of Philadelphia. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
And yes, he's buried right at St. Peter's Church with many of my friends. So I go and often dance on his grave. Who are more hated in Philadelphia, the British Redcoats or the Dallas Cowboys? That is a wonderful question. I would have to say, as much we were Englishmen at one time and we fought a war, but then that war ended and we moved on with our lives. With the Treaty of Paris, we were able to reconcile with the British, despite all the great animosity. Such will never happen with the Dallas Cowboys. They are, without question, more hated in Philadelphia. I stand by that declaration.
Okay. Well, Ben Franklin is
a really good question.
Is available for historic tours of Old City, Philadelphia. And you can go to his website, bfranklin.org. It's a beautiful website. It's got the background on Ben. It really is beautiful. And so you take people around Old City and give them a tour as Ben Franklin.
It's really wonderful. I love doing it. I was thinking about it. We always go and visit Carpenter's Hall, where the first Continental Congress met. And that's where we had the very first secret meeting with a French ambassador by the name of Bonvenard. And at the time, I did not speak very good French. I hate to admit it. And so my French instructor, Francis Damon, was in the meeting with us. So every time I see that I'm going to speak to Damon, I think, but that's not my French. You could have been a descendant of the man who taught me French. Though I wouldn't be too proud of that because my French is still rather atrocious.
bfranklin.org, Benjamin Franklin Interpreted. He gives tours in historic Old City, Philadelphia. Actor and historian Mitchell Kramer portraying Benjamin Franklin. This was so good. Thanks so much for doing this. It is so cool to catch up with you. And I hope that you have a good day on Sunday watching your Eagles and giving tours.
I'm very much looking forward to the Eagles defeating all of those former Eagle coaches. Do you know how many former Eagles coaches there are playing or coaching the Chiefs?
Well, outside of Andy Reid, I'd have to think. I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know.
I just found this out because it was interesting. 11 students and graduates of my college, the college I founded, the University of Pennsylvania, Go Blue and Red, 11 of them signed the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution. And there are apparently 11 former players and coaches from the Philadelphia Eagles currently coaching on the Kansas City Chiefs. 11.
Wow. That's a lot. That's a lot. Look at this. Ben Franklin teaching us sports factoids ahead of Super Bowl 57.
I love facts.
What could be better than that? Ben, thanks so much. Have a great rest of your day and rest of the week.
Thank you, Damon. It's an absolute pleasure.